Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Global Heroes Podcast. I'm so glad you're with us again.
Likewise.
Don't forget to hit subscribe and sign up for that weekly newsletter.
Yeah, all about positive news and stories that inspire.
You know, we love those.
Absolutely.
And speaking of inspiring stories, that's what we're going to deep dive into today.
Looking forward to it.
So, you sent us this article
Yes.
about the Matthew Perry Foundation of Canada.
A really powerful one.
Yeah, it really is.
Blends personal tragedy with, just this really inspiring work.
Yeah.
His sister, Caitlin Morrison, is doing to help others who are struggling with addiction.
I think most of us know Matthew Perry as Chandler from Friends, right?
Of course, iconic role.
Yeah. But, this deep dive is not about his fame. It's about his legacy.
Exactly.
And that's where the Matthew Perry Foundation of Canada comes in.
The article talks about Matthew's long battle with addiction.
Right.
The years of treatment, countless AA meetings.
Yeah.
It's just a stark reminder of how relentless this disease can be, even for someone with access to the best resources.
Like, it really makes you wonder, what does it even mean to recover?
Right.
In a system that often feels like it's set up for failure?
That is the question.
Yeah.
And it's something the Canadian system really grapples with.
Okay.
You see, addiction support in Canada is a bit of a patchwork. There are pockets of excellence, for sure,
Right.
but also significant gaps between treatment and sustained recovery.
I see.
The article talks about long wait lists for publicly funded programs,
All right.
limited access to mental health care, and the lack of affordable, stable housing for those in early recovery.
So basically, the system is throwing a lot of obstacles in the way.
Yeah,
Even when someone is determined to get better.
precisely.
Wow.
And that is where the Matthew Perry Foundation steps in.
Okay.
Caitlin Morrison, Matthew's sister, saw these gaps firsthand. After
Right.
losing Matthew,
Mm-hmm.
she just felt compelled to create something
Right.
that would honor his memory and tackle these systemic challenges.
I think this is where it gets really interesting.
Yeah.
They don't just focus on getting people into treatment,
Right.
but they zero in on that really critical first year after treatment,
That's right.
which is a time when people are so vulnerable
Extremely vulnerable.
and the risk of relapse is the highest.
They describe it as running a marathon uphill.
Ooh.
You're already exhausted, right?
Yeah.
But the hardest part is still ahead.
Oh, wow.
And even the smallest obstacle can just feel like a reason to give up.
Okay, I'm starting to see how this foundation is different.
Yeah.
They're not just about getting people sober.
No.
They're about giving them the tools and
Yeah.
support to stay sober.
Precisely.
Wow.
They provide practical support, right? Helping individuals find safe and stable housing,
Mm-hmm.
connecting them with employment opportunities,
Yeah.
and making sure they can access mental health care.
Yeah.
They understand that addressing these basic needs is absolutely essential
Yeah.
for someone to really focus on their recovery.
It's like they're saying, we'll take care of the logistics so you can focus on healing.
Exactly.
Right.
They ease the burden so
Right.
people can rebuild their lives.
Mhm.
It's a holistic approach, really.
Yeah.
It recognizes the interconnectedness of addiction,
Yeah.
mental health,
Right.
and social well-being.
And they're doing it with a really deep understanding of the Canadian context.
Absolutely.
This article talks about Caitlin working with experts
Yeah.
to tailor the foundation's approach to these specific challenges
Right.
that people in Canada face.
It's not a one-size-fits-all solution.
Right.
They're constantly adapting and evolving their programs to meet the needs of the community.
It's incredible how she's taken her personal grief
I know.
and channeled it into this force for good.
The article talks about her background in nonprofit leadership.
Okay.
She already had experience working with equity, mental health,
Right.
and healthcare organizations.
Okay.
So she came into this with a really deep understanding of how to build and run effective programs.
And it wasn't just her.
Right.
She brought together family and friends and addiction specialists
Yeah.
to build a foundation that truly reflects Matthew's belief in the power of recovery.
They are turning his legacy into a source of hope for countless others.
Now, I am really curious about their research initiatives.
Yes,
This article mentioned some pretty groundbreaking stuff,
I did.
like AI and organ-on-a-chip models.
It's fascinating stuff.
Can you unpack those for us?
Absolutely.
Okay.
So organ-on-a-chip models are essentially miniature simplified versions
Okay.
of human organs
Okay.
that can be used to study the effects of drugs and potential treatments in a very controlled environment.
Yeah.
They provide a more accurate and ethical alternative to animal testing.
So they're like tiny labs
Yeah.
that can help researchers understand how addiction affects the body at a cellular level.
Exactly.
Wow.
And the foundation is actually funding the development of these models,
Okay.
specifically for addiction research, which could lead to some real breakthroughs in how we understand and treat the disease.
That's fascinating.
It is.
What about the AI side of things?
Well, AI has the potential to revolutionize addiction treatment in several ways.
Okay.
For example, researchers are developing AI algorithms that can analyze large data sets to identify individuals at risk of developing substance use disorders.
Wow. So you're saying AI could be used to predict and prevent addiction
Yeah,
before it even takes hold.
exactly.
Wow.
It can also be used to personalize treatment plans
Okay.
based on an individual's unique genetic makeup and lifestyle factors,
Okay.
which could lead to more effective outcomes.
Okay, now I see why the foundation is focusing on these cutting-edge technologies.
Yeah.
They have the potential to really change the game when it comes to addiction treatment.
Absolutely. They're investing in the future of addiction research, and that is incredibly promising.
You know, it's interesting how they're not just funding research.
Right.
They're also working to bridge the gap between research and practice.
That's key.
The article mentioned that they're collaborating with community organizations
Yes,
and advocating for policies that support evidence-based treatment.
that's crucial.
So they're not just sitting in an ivory tower.
No,
They're out there making sure that these research breakthroughs actually reach the people who need them.
right. They're advocating for changes in the healthcare system to ensure that the most effective treatments are accessible to everyone.
It's inspiring to see how they're using their platform to not only fund research,
Yeah.
but to advocate for systemic change.
It's a multi-pronged approach
Yeah,
that reflects a deep understanding of the complexities of addiction
right.
and the need for comprehensive solutions.
Wow, it's incredible.
It is. And it's not just about, changing the system.
Right.
It's about changing the conversation.
You mean tackling that stigma surrounding addiction?
Absolutely.
Wow.
The article highlights how the Matthew Perry Foundation
Yeah.
is actively challenging the perception of addiction as a moral failing. They're advocating for a more compassionate and understanding approach,
Right.
recognizing it as a complex health issue.
That reminds me of something Matthew Perry himself often said about his journey. He was so open about his struggles,
He was.
and he really emphasized the need for honesty, understanding, and a willingness to help.
He believed that shame and judgment just push people further into isolation, making recovery even harder.
And the foundation seems to be carrying that torch,
They are.
using its platform to promote empathy and understanding.
Right. They're working to shift the narrative from blame to support,
Right.
highlighting the fact that addiction can affect anyone,
Yeah.
regardless of background, socioeconomic status, profession.
Speaking of backgrounds,
Yeah.
I was struck by how the article mentioned the alarming rise in substance abuse,
Yes.
especially among young people in Canada.
It's a huge concern.
Yeah. It's not just opioids, is it?
Unfortunately, no.
Right.
While the opioid crisis is a major concern, of course, we're also seeing an increase in alcohol and cannabis use among youth.
Okay.
And what's worrying is that the current system just isn't adequately equipped
Yeah.
to address the unique needs of this younger generation.
So what is the foundation doing to address this specific challenge?
They're focusing on prevention and early intervention programs
Okay.
that are tailored to young people.
All right.
They understand that reaching individuals at a younger age
Right.
before substance use escalates
Yeah.
is really key to preventing long-term addiction.
Makes sense. The earlier you intervene,
Yeah,
the better the chances of preventing a lifetime of struggle.
precisely.
Wow.
They're working with schools and community organizations to educate young people about the risks of substance abuse
Right.
and provide them with the tools and support they need
Yeah.
to make healthy choices.
That reminds me of another really interesting point from the article.
Okay.
The foundation's commitment to amplifying the work of other organizations
Yeah.
that are already doing great work in the addiction space.
It's a brilliant strategy.
Yeah.
They recognize that they don't have to reinvent the wheel. There are already countless dedicated individuals and organizations working tirelessly on the front lines.
So instead of trying to do everything themselves, they're leveraging their resources and platform to shine a light on those existing efforts.
Exactly. They're acting as a force multiplier.
Okay.
Connecting donors with organizations doing critical work, raising awareness about effective programs,
Right.
and fostering collaboration within the addiction support ecosystem.
It's like they're creating a network of support.
They are.
Bringing together all these different players
Yeah.
to create a more unified and impactful response to the addiction crisis.
And they're able to do this because of Matthew Perry's legacy.
Right.
His name brings attention to the issue.
Right.
And his story resonates with people around the world.
You know, it's tragic that he's no longer with us.
It is a loss.
But it is really heartening to see how his family is using his platform to drive positive change.
It is.
It's almost as if his spirit is living on through the foundation's work.
You can definitely feel that sense of purpose
and
determination in everything they do.
Yeah.
It's clear that they're committed to turning their personal loss into a source of hope and healing for others.
You know, going back to the research, it's amazing to think that we might one day have treatments
I know.
that are tailored to an individual's specific needs and genetic makeup.
It's incredible.
It's like the future of personalized medicine is merging with addiction treatment.
It's a really exciting time to be following this field.
Yeah.
The advancements happening in areas like genetics, neuroscience, AI are opening up possibilities we could only have dreamed of a few years ago.
And the Matthew Perry Foundation is right there on the cutting edge.
They are.
Supporting these breakthroughs and ensuring they translate into tangible benefits for people who are struggling with addiction.
Their willingness to embrace unconventional approaches, like those organ-on-a-chip models and AI algorithms, is truly commendable.
Yeah.
They're not afraid to push the boundaries and explore new frontiers.
And that kind of boldness is exactly what's needed.
It is.
To make real progress in a field that has often been hampered by stigma and limited funding.
It's like they're saying, we're not just going to follow the same old paths. We're going to forge new ones.
Right.
And that spirit of innovation is incredibly inspiring.
It makes you wonder what other groundbreaking discoveries might be just around the corner.
It's impossible to say for sure.
Yeah.
But the Foundation's commitment to funding early-stage research means that they're planting the seeds for future breakthroughs.
Yeah.
They're creating an environment where innovation can flourish.
It's like they're investing in a future.
Yeah.
Where addiction is no longer a life sentence.
Right.
But a challenge that can be overcome. With the right support, resources, and scientific advancements.
And they're doing it with a sense of urgency, understanding that every delay in research translates to another day, another week, another year of struggle.
Wow.
For those battling this disease.
It's a race against time.
It is.
And the Matthew Perry Foundation is pushing the accelerator.
Absolutely. They're not just content with the status quo.
Right.
They're actively working to change the trajectory of the addiction crisis.
Now, for our listeners who might be feeling overwhelmed by the scale of this issue,
I understand.
What would you say is the most important takeaway from this deep dive?
I think the key message here is that there is hope. The work of the Matthew Perry Foundation demonstrates that even in the face of immense tragedy, we can choose to create something positive and impactful.
It's a reminder that every individual has the power to make a difference.
Yes.
Whether it's through supporting organizations like this, advocating for policy changes, or simply offering a listening ear to someone who's struggling.
We can all contribute to creating a world where addiction is treated with the same compassion, understanding, and urgency as any other health issue. A world where recovery is not a distant dream, but a tangible reality for everyone who seeks it.
Well said. And for anyone listening who's personally touched by addiction, please know that you're not alone.
You're not.
There are resources available, people who care, and a growing community of support.
Don't give up hope.
Yeah, it's so important to remember that. You know, even small actions can ripple outwards.
Absolutely. Something as simple as educating yourself about addiction or challenging those harmful stereotypes, you know, or even donating to an organization doing good work. It all contributes to a shift in the collective consciousness.
It's about creating a culture of support rather than judgment.
Exactly. And that cultural shift is essential for creating lasting change.
You know, one thing that really stood out to me about the Matthew Perry Foundation was their commitment to transparency.
Yes.
The article mentioned that they publish these annual reports detailing their financials and program outcomes.
That's a sign of a truly accountable and trustworthy organization.
Right.
They're not just saying they're making a difference. They're providing the evidence to back it up.
And that kind of transparency is so essential for building trust with donors and the wider community.
It also allows them to learn from their successes and challenges, constantly refining their approach to ensure maximum impact.
It's like they're constantly asking, how can we do better?
Yeah.
And that commitment to continuous improvement is really impressive.
It speaks to their dedication and their deep belief in the power of what they're doing.
So for any of our listeners who are feeling inspired and want to learn more about the Matthew Perry Foundation of Canada,
yes,
where should they go?
The best place to start is their website.
Okay.
They have tons of information about their programs, research initiatives, and ways to get involved.
Okay.
You can find links to donate, volunteer, or simply learn more about their work.
And I imagine they're also active on social media.
Absolutely. They have a strong presence on platforms like Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, where they share updates on their work, stories of recovery, resources for those seeking help.
It's a great way to stay connected and learn more about how they're making a difference.
And if this conversation has resonated with you, I encourage you to share it with others.
Yes.
Spread the word about the incredible work the Matthew Perry Foundation is doing.
Every conversation, every share, every donation, it all contributes to creating a more supportive and understanding world for those affected by addiction.
Well, from awareness into action.
Beautifully said. And on that note, we want to thank you for joining us on this episode of the Global Heroes Podcast.
It's been great.
It's been a privilege to dive into the inspiring work of the Matthew Perry Foundation of Canada.
Absolutely.
And don't forget, you can stream our award-winning TV show, It's a Beautiful World, on Prime Video.
Connect with us on social media. Let us know what you thought of this deep dive.
We love hearing from you guys.
We do.
We will see you next time.
See you then.